beloved, a Hindi movie star, performer who revolutionized the Indian theatre as well as Indian cinema, Mr. Amol Palekar. His movies always offered a refreshing alternative to larger-than-life heroes. Sir, may we have you up on stage, please? Along with him is Sandhya Gokhale, a civil rights advocate and storyteller known for her powerful women-centric narratives. Welcome, ma'am. The interlocutor for this session is Rishi Majumder, a senior editor and correspondent. He is currently a part of Oijo Media. Over to you all.
Hello, hello. Such a pleasure to see all of you here this evening, and such a pleasure to share the stage with such illustrious panelists. A friend of mine said to me when I told him I was going to do this session that you've shared the stage with many writers, but how many legends have you shared a stage with? And I think that upon reading this book, you will find that what makes my co-panelists so interesting is the diversity and the breadth as well as the depth of their lives, which is what the session is about. To talk a little bit about this book, some quick pointers, because there were people asking me before this. It is not written in a linear narrative. This is not a book that where you expect to find out about somebody's childhood, somebody's student days, and so on and so forth. It is a book about an exciting life, written in a very exciting way. Amol Palekar in this book does not just talk about himself. He talks about his times. He talks about his contemporaries. He talks about the times in the context of creativity and culture, and also in the context of politics. Finally, what comes out from this book is about this festival is dedicated to the future, and Gen Z often uses this word called multi-hyphenate. But what comes out after reading this book, what comes to mind, the word that comes to mind most strongly for both Amol as well as Sandhya is the word polymath. That is actually a word that one could apply to Khushwant Singh as well. You find out that while we might think of Amol Palekar being a silver screen hero, he is also a painter, he is also a theater person, he is a producer, he is a filmmaker, and of course, as we've discovered this year, he's also quite a brilliant writer. So a round of applause for my co-panelists quickly. Before we start, there's just one small passage that Amol and Sandhya had wanted me to read out, so I'm going to read that to start off this session. It's from the end of the first chapter of the book. For most people, or my fans, it is often challenging to reconcile the real me with the person they see on the reel. The contrast between the simple, stumbling boy next door seen on the silver screen and the reserved, quiet Amol Palekar in real life, who stands firm in his opinions, does not seek anyone's validation or praise, stays away from the crowd, does not give much emotional response, is often difficult to comprehend. I feel that people don't like that gap in these double roles. Their realization that Ram Prasad, Lakshman Prasad is different in reality from their expectations is somewhat disconcerting to people. It's possible that they are thrown by the conflicting images of the same man. This is the little catch in my double role. So Amol, you've spoken about a double role here, and my first question to you will be that you have inhabited, as I've just discussed, multiple roles in your life. And one role that I would like to begin with is the role of artist or painter. Your time in JJ, where you started learning to be an artist, what prompted that journey, and what made you come back to this journey 5 decades later?
Um, my my interest in visual arts was part of my daily travel. I used to stay at a place called Shivaji Park in Mumbai, and to travel, we had to walk from Shivaji Park to Dadar station. And during that daily journey, there used to be three different roads, and on every road, there was a studio which used to do huge hoardings of films. Invariably, I would stop there, linger there before proceeding. And it was that urge that I realized towards the visual arts, and discussing with few senior artists, sculptors, I chose to go to JJ School of Art and did my graduation from JJ. I have written extensively about that journey also. I did few solo shows immediately after coming out of JJ School of Art. Then my my journey into theatre and then into films kept me so busy that somewhere the paintings went in the background. Uh, it was when I turned 70 that I felt the urge again, all over again, to go back to painting and start doing that seriously on regular basis. One of the reasons probably was I I enjoyed that process of looking at myself all by myself. Uh, the visual art and the being a painter is a very introvertish journey. You don't need anybody else like in theater or in films. You need people, you need audience, and you're trying to communicate your ideas, your passion, your skills, you're trying to share with the audience. So these are two exactly opposite processes, and after doing a lot of theater and films and all that, I felt the need to go being more of an introvert than an extrovert.
You know, one of the stories from your early days as an artist that struck me was a story about you working in a bank and working as an artist after that, and then having to do this exhibition, and then having to speak to your boss for leave about the exhibition. So, though just before that, in the chapter before that, I read, and I completely understand what you said when you say that I am very different from Ram Prasad. But in a way, there was a kernel of Ram Prasad that I saw there, where I saw this man trying to be an artist, putting in everything, and having to talk to his boss. But how does he tell his boss that I need leave for, I think it was 15 days, for this exhibition? How do I gather up the courage to ask for that? So, is this something that struck you as well? Could you talk a little bit about this incident?
Talking a little bit will be difficult because it's a very long episode, starting with the great artist K.H. Ara, who gave me his dates, which was, I mean, one of the first accidents in my life which really changed everything. I have written extensively, so I will not go into the details. But my working with bank, as you mentioned, was for a simple reason. I had realized, because I had done my graduation in fine arts and then post-graduation in murals, I had known, I knew it all along, that this is not going to fetch me money, easy money. Uh, so I will have to wait and not be in a hurry. So I thought that working for my kitchen to run, working with a bank will be the most easy thing to do, because where I don't have to compromise, I don't have to think of what the public wants me to paint and do those kind of paintings, etc., etc. No such pressures. It is better 9 to 6 I do a job, and after that I go back to my painting and do exactly what I want to do.
One person who, it is evident by reading the book, one person whose values influenced the early part of your acting career was the legendary theatre director Satyadev Dubey. Dubey, for people who know him or know about theatre, Indian theatre, or the history of Indian theatre, know he's a very important figure, but he's also a little bit of a he was known as a bit of a difficult person to get along with. What was your relationship with him like, and what were the key values that you took from him or that he gave to you?
Well, to begin with, you mentioned he was a bit difficult. I have strong objection for that word bit. He was difficult. But whatever I am today, I owe everything to him. He made an actor out of me. I had no intentions of going into theatre. I had no training. I hadn't even seen much of theatre at that time. It was Dubey who brought me onto theatre, and literally how to stand, how not to show your tensions in your shoulder, how how to speak, how to articulate, how to pronounce properly, and how to throw your voice without mic. Those days we didn't use mics in theatre. How to project properly, all these things Dubey taught me. So whatever actor that you love in me, it is only because of Dubey that he made it possible. But beyond that, he also taught me a lot of things. He taught me how to interpret the text. Same text written by Mohan Rakesh in Adhe Adhure, how it can be interpreted differently than what Mohan Rakesh wanted to convey. I was part of that debate between these people, and it was enriching how to interpret a text, and which took me to greater heights, I must say, this understanding. It was also to stand firmly with whatever you believe in, that Dubey taught me. Without fear, stand there. Whatever you believe in, you stand by that and face the world. Don't worry about anything. Now, these were the things which Dubey. So, whatever I am, as I said, it is only because of Dubey.
You were also one of the rare people that I've heard of who actually stood up to Dubey at times. And I think you are the only person I know of, even among very senior theatre artists and filmmakers, who called him Dubey and not Dubey ji. How did you manage to do this?
No, again, that was, it was very gracious of him to allow me to call him Dubey. Everybody called him Dubey ji. I was the only one in the group, and much younger. The senior most person in our group was Amrish Puri. Puri Saab, we used to call him Puri Saab, but I never called Dubey ji.
Sandhya, I'm going to come to you now, because Like with Amol, you two have had a very diverse professional life. You are a lawyer. You also have a professional life that involves the arts, philosophy, literature, activism, which is a big part of Amol's life as well. And you're the screenwriter for many films, including Paheli, which was India's entry into the Oscars. So, where did you come to this diverse? We know about Amol, and because the book, and of course the book talks about you as well. But I would just like to dig a little deeper into how you came to these diverse sets of professional experiences. How that worked out for you.
I think I do have deep interest in all these fields that you mentioned. And when I was in the US for 10 years, in New York, I was practicing. That was a time when I realized that whatever little time one has, one can really learn a lot in lot of fields. I used to live in Princeton, so I took so many courses at that time. I think that is probably that is inbuilt in me to learn something or to study something or whatever. And writing is what I used to do a lot. But actually, New York is what I learned all this filmmaking, or I mean, I saw world cinema there. All this, I used to do pottery at that point. So I think one just evolves, and one I have developed all these things, and probably with Amol, it's much more an opportunity because he would constantly encourage me to write. He asked me to take 10 years of sabbatical from law. Well, that 10 years became 15 years. And I used to call that as
Contract for bonded labor.
I don't know to say that. But yeah, I did take that sabbatical. Now I'm back. I'm an arbitrator. But one could do it. I really believe that one should have 3 solid careers in one lifespan. And when I say careers, meaning like give all of it. So I haven't actually traced how did that happen and all that. But yes, it did happen.
So kudos for that. Another thing is that you and Amol now have spent, I think, 26 years together. And these are 26 years where you have been compatible, not just personally, but also intellectually and creatively, because you worked as creative partners as well. And this seems very beautiful, but it's not as easy as it seems, because one can think of many instances where 2 individuals who are very creative, who are very intellectual, actually hate each other after even a year spent together. You know, there's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is the famous work that Toynbee wrote, which is about this. So if I was to ask you this question, bit of a corny question, but I am very intrigued, what would your secrets to this intellectual and creative compatibility over, well over 2.5 decades, what would your secrets be?
There are no secrets. You live life. You fight, when you have to fight. And rest of the time, love is the backdrop. So yes, I think we've had a very enriching and happy life. I don't know whether it's because of it's second wedding for both, marriage for both. I don't know. Again, one really never got the time to think about all these things because we're just so busy doing things. We've done, I mean, as you will see, after reading that book, I felt, oh gee, I mean, have we actually done all this? And while I was curating the book, because he wrote it in Marathi first, and he hand wrote for 450 pages, and he kept it on my lap saying, now you go ahead and do whatever you want to do. And I really didn't know where to begin because when I read that, ooh, I mean, what 6 decades of such engaging life. And when you read it, you will see it. Um, he managed to do so many things simultaneously. That is something, a great time management course that he should run, I think. He did 8 hours of shift. Now we talk about Deepika Padukone doing only 8 hours and all that. But that time, those days, he used to work only for 8 hours of shooting. Why? Because then he would go back and do rehearsals, and he would spend rest of the night
Rehearsals
in
for theatre.
Yes. So this is all. So actually, I myself am not really introspected towards our own life. But through this book, yes, I got to see that, yes, we indeed have spent something very beautiful.
You know, another thing that I didn't say about this book is that it's very blatantly honest, and it is a book in which he examines himself, including all his flaws and all his faults. And he, you know, one talks about elephants in the room, he takes those elephants by the trunk, if you may, whether that is his opinions on the current regime, whether that is the fact that there was a time when you smoked, I think, 72 cigarettes a day for 30 years, whether it's looking at all of these, confronting himself in various ways. And so I would like to ask you one question, Amol, confronting you as you have confronted yourself in this book, that is there a pattern you see whereby you run away, you first acquire success, you first achieve success, and then you shun it or you run away from it? For instance, you had 3 films that were super hits, right, in Hindi cinema. And then you suddenly decided to do a complete U-turn and play a negative role. And this was even as you've mentioned an interaction with Shashi Kapoor in this book, where he well-meaningly tried to tell you that the route to success at that time in Bollywood would be following a certain formula. But you absolutely defied, somehow that the idea of following that just doesn't sit well with you. So why this pattern? Where does it come from?
I don't know where it comes from. Probably my intrinsic belief. You mentioned about my smoking 72 cigarettes a day for 30 years. And when I decided to give it up, I gave it up. Overnight, I gave it up. I don't know where I got that conviction from that I could give it up. But I did. It is, I think, similarly that when I wanted to do something, I believed that I want to try and do it. Like when I chose to do a villain's role after being a very successful, lovable hero, my inner urge was to try out something which I have not tried so far. I know
think
that
he gets bored after doing the same thing again and again. I mean, once he realizes that, well, I can do this, and well, the audience likes it, then he loses interest in that and he wants to take up another challenge. I think that's the pattern that I think.
So money or power are not motivators in that sense. The usual thing of, you know, I have been on the topmost star or one of the topmost stars for so many years, those are not the motivators.
Not at all. I mean, even now, probably every week he gets a script and he says no. I mean, it's a no is his constant probably in life.
I'll only add this to him, this what Sandhya said. Actually, and I say this again and again, actually, मेरा नाम नाना होना चाहिए था instead of Nana Patekar, because I keep saying Nana so many times that I should be Nana.
On that note, a question for both of you, because both of you are very political people. What, according to, and this is something that you've thought about and spoken about at different times, what, according to you, is the responsibility or duty of an artist in today's times? And also, what, according to you, is the responsibility of a citizen?
I think I'll let Sandhya talk about it before I
Sure.
do.
Well, I and Amol very strongly, and he has been for years. Um, he believes in taking stance and position. Um, we don't endorse a single party, obviously, because when you do that, then there is a quid pro quo, and I mean, he certainly is a very solid, strong anti-establishment person. There are about 7, 8 PILs pending in Supreme Court, where we challenge the um, many things that this regime has done, then Censorship Act, Cinematography Act. I mean, a lot of things for free speech and artistic freedom that he's done. Um, Wherever time uh, asks for it, he gives his opinion and he stands by it. Um, Although I must say that he doesn't have a single social media account, nor neither Twitter nor Facebook, nor nothing, because he doesn't feel the need to express on an everyday terms basis. I mean, he's a bit a quieter person and introspective. Um, and the audience, I will just mention, maybe you can mention what happened yesterday in Pune.
Um, I think today we are going through times where there are so many censorships. I mean, in theatre we have a censor board for theatre only in Maharashtra and Gujarat, which is beyond my understanding. Why only in 2 states? But and I'm fighting a case in Bombay High Court against that. In cinema, we are seeing repeatedly कि सेंसर ने जो फिल्म अलाउ की है लेकिन नहीं, it is hurting my emotions, my belief, my faith करके लोग फिल्म बंद करना चाहते हैं. Yesterday, as Sandhya reminded me, yesterday in Pune, there is a Marathi film called Manache Shlok.
Mana is a character in the film, and Shlok is the name of another person. So basically, it's a love story, and so it's a Manase Shlok.
But Manache Shlok is also written by one of our saints, Ramdas Swami. He wrote Manache Shlok. Now there were about 10 people wanting to stop the show and saying that change the title because it is a disrespect to our saint and to our faith.
Now the film advertisement is going on for so many months.
My simple question is, when there are 300 other people who have gathered together to watch the film, why don't all of you as audience ask those 10 people to just shut up and say that we want to see the film? You can't stop us from seeing the film, and if your emotions are hurt, you stand with a black flag here, whatever protest you want to do, but don't stop the film. What kind of things are happening around us? I get very disturbed, and I again and again urge all of you as thinking and sensitive human beings that unless we stand up against such kind of censorships, this is not going to change. If we keep on being mum, keep on being quiet, and let this kind of gundaism take charge, this will only grow. And I do not want this to be grown.
See, at the level of writing scripts, I'm a writer. So if that has penetrated your mind, that, well, whatever I'm writing, is it going to shake, or ruffle some groups or whatever? That kind of censorship is a part of your psyche now. And as a writer, if that happens to writers, I think it's very serious.
The self-censorship. You know, Amol, you've written about this beautiful moment in this book that, frankly, I mean, maybe because at one time I was involved with theatre, it almost brought tears to my eyes, about various theatre groups who were otherwise fighting with one another, coming together to support one another when it came to censorship. It was an incident where you were involved and you were taking the lead. But you've spoken about other instances as well where this has happened. You yourself have stood up to Bal Thackeray when the time came, and you stood up in your own way to Indira Gandhi when the time came. Do you see the same zest, enthusiasm when it comes to fighting censorship, the unity for free speech? Do you see that today, or do you see things as different, and if so, then why so?
As I mentioned, I think not only the theatre practitioners or filmmakers have this responsibility to fight the censorship. It is you, as the audience, unless you feel the need that you have to say that let us choose, let us decide what kind of film is to be seen by me. You don't tell us what to eat, you don't tell us what to drink, you don't tell us. Now, enough of that. We have to stand up and say, one thing I must, from what you mentioned, I must say that the texture of political scene has changed dramatically. If I could oppose Indira Gandhi during emergency, yet she could respect me and she could support me for my fight against censorship. Now that was the texture of political leadership. Then again, I have also mentioned Balasaheb Thackeray. These two giants of politicians, despite knowing my opposition to them, they could sit down, have a dialogue, and have a respectable dialogue with a person like me. Now, that I don't see around, and unless we change that, I don't think it will change.
We're going to open up for questions now. Thank you. We're going to open up for questions now, but just before that, an announcement. The books will be available after the session, and Amol will be there to sign the books. And one more thing I didn't mention about the book is that it has, do take a look, it has these about 27 QR codes spread throughout it. Those QR codes have been assimilated very painstakingly. Amol and Sandhya have taken permission and put up online, whether it is posters, whether it's photographs, whether it's films, whether it's audiovisual content, that while you're reading, if you use those QR codes, you can access this content. And this content wasn't available, a lot of this content wasn't available before. It has been made available and organized for you to use while you're reading the book. So just a note on that. Now we'll take questions, but since time is short, please, two requests. One is make your question short. The other is please stick to questions, not opinions. I'm sure the panelists will be there after this if you wish to have a conversation with them, discuss ideas with them. But right now, because we want to get in as many questions as possible, please ask questions only. Do not use this opportunity to share your opinions. Questions?
My question is to Sandhya. You said that your marriages worked because it's the second time for both of you.
Just a guess.
The traditional thing was a second marriage is the triumph of hope over experience. I mean, I know that that's not true personally, but I'd like to tell you to tell the audience why it has worked better as a second marriage.
Well, very honestly, we both are friends to begin with. I somehow don't. He was my client to begin with when we met. I mean, he's very elaborately written about our how we met and all that. To me, I would have omitted that, but anyway.
He's written it like a film script.
Yeah. So anyway, so basically, our sensibilities similar, and then likes, dislikes, or our politics, um, is, I think there's too much of similarity. Probably that's one thing, because I don't think that if his politics was different, I would be with him even for one day. I think probably the case with him too. But more interestingly, we're very interested in so many things. We spend about 3-4 months in a year abroad, doing so many things, unsuitable to his age also. So probably, you know, all this has kept the volcano still alive, probably.
Any other questions?
Right here. Firstly, I would like to say that this is a really very special moment in time, because when I was a child, on many mornings, my father used to play Aane Wala Pal Jaane Wala Hai. And it's really, this is a very special moment for me to be here with you. It's not a question, how about writing some of the movies that you acted in when you were younger, and bringing that fresh, simple, middle class, absolutely unraunchy kind of film back to life? How about writing and directing some of that?
There are quite a few films being made today, and very capable actors portraying those roles. So why do you say that I should make it? There are people, younger generation, who are making those films and making them very beautifully.
You probably understood the craft better than them, so maybe you can train somebody. Or
That's not true. I mean, the young filmmakers are brilliant. In fact, the way they use the technology, they make really world-class films. I mean, I don't know whether you've heard of this film also or not, but there is a film called Sour Bunda, and or which can be translated as Cactus Pears. It's a Marathi film, and the first Indian film ever to get award at Sundance. It's a brilliant film. And there are many more such films. But what happens is that these films don't reach you. And fortunately, some OTTs do acquire those, but then you don't know because they're not, publicized, or there is no promotion of those. But there is brilliant content on OTTs, various OTTs.
I'll just add a little to what Sandhya said. You see, we are also getting bombarded so much by the publicity and the promotion. We are today almost convinced